The Tolkien Road, Episode 48, The Silmarillion, Chapter 17, of the Coming of Men into the West. All right, go ahead. The Tolkien Road, 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 Hey there, fellow travelers. Welcome to the Tolkien Road, a long walk through the works and philosophy of J.R.R. Tolkien. On this episode, we continue our discussion of the Silmarillion with Chapter 17, of the Coming of Men into the West, wherein we learn of the origin of the Edain, also known as men. Chapter 17 is the last bit of stage setting before the pace really begins to pick up again. By the way, if you haven't already, we would really appreciate it if you left the Tolkien Road a rating and feedback on iTunes. There's no better way to show that you care. Enjoy the show. Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Tolkien Road. John and Greta here.
What's up?
What's shaking, everybody? So we've been away for a little while, doing the Christmas break action.
You know it.
And, man, it's been a little bit of a crazy last couple of days trying to get this episode recorded. I know. Just hadn't really worked out. We were planning to. We were originally planning to come back with a new episode this past Tuesday, but here it is Thursday night, and we're recording. But you know what?
What?
I realized just a bit ago that it was all providential. You know why? Why? Because both Mary Grace and Josh sent me poems today, sent me haiku today. So,
woo!
Yeah, first time we've had both of them in a while.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so...
And if we had done this Tuesday, we wouldn't have had those.
Exactly. That's why I say it's providential.
Totally providential. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, just cool how that worked out.
Absolutely.
So thanks for getting those in. And
yes, thank you guys very much.
Yeah, what, we intended for procrastination and everything, God intended for good.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
All right.
Amen to that.
Well, let's get right to it.
Let's do it. Oh man, I've missed that song. It's good to hear it again.
You can listen to it anytime you want. You can just pull it up. You can pull it up in iTunes on the computer and just listen to it anytime.
Oh my gosh.
It's Tolkien Haiku theme number 2. In fact, there's 3 other unused Tolkien Haiku themes that you could use.
I could just link them together and put them on repeat and just have a constant dance party.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm excited for tomorrow.
Yes. Right on. All right.
Woo!
Oh, by the way, we're talking about Chapter 17 of the Coming of Men into the West. Chapter 17 of the Silmarillion.
Okay. That's
right.
Yep.
After all this talk about Valar and Maiar and elves and orcs and everybody, finally some real men are coming onto the scene.
That's what I'm talking about.
Some real men, manly men.
Real men.
That's right.
They eat steak and use chainsaws.
That's right. Yeah.
And drink beer.
Beör.
I mean, drank beer.
Drank
beer.
With chainsaws.
Holding running chainsaws.
That's right.
All right. Weird. Quick. Go.
Yeah. Well, it's your fault.
I know.
Okay. So, who's going first? Haiku.
We're doing rock or paper, rock, scissors, as you like to call it, right?
Rock, paper, scissors. I thought it was rock, paper, scissors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you want to call it paper, rock, scissors, that's cool with me.
All right.
Yeah.
I prefer paper, rock, scissors, actually.
Uh-huh. I was talking to somebody the other day about rock, paper, scissors, and we were sharing the observation that really rock should win everything. Because you think about it, like, what does paper do to a rock? It's just like, but if you
smothers it.
But what is that? Like, it's not like that can hurt a rock.
Yeah, because it's not living, so it's not like you can take its breath away.
In all reality, you just throw a rock through paper, and it breaks the paper, right?
Sure.
And scissors can't cut rock. So it's like, but anyway. We don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about this.
Well, no, rock beats scissors.
I know. But I'm saying, like,
you're
even
saying
if you
rock should win everything. That's what you're saying. But then it wouldn't be a fun game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But,
Which is why I don't let you play with the atomic bomb.
Whatever. I should have never even brought it up. Yeah. It's wise of you not to let me play with atomic bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Safety first.
Safety first. That's what I always say. Greta, were you on the safety patrol in school?
Shh. Don't tell anybody I thought those orange vests were cool.
They were cool. I mean,
Totally
everybody
cool.
wanted all the, when you're young, you wanted to be on the safety patrol, and then you got to that age and you realized, like,
You're
it
like,
was
this is
kind
what
of
all the
nerdy to be on
nerds
the
do.
safety patrol. Yeah,
This is true. This
right.
is true.
but man, did it look cool when you were like in second grade and you saw the fifth graders wearing those orange vests, and it looked all official and everything.
I remember I was actually like I was that really totally uncool 5th and 6th grader who was still like super excited about being a patrol person. And I remember I finally got it, and like everybody made fun of me, and I was like, it was so sad. It was like my bubble had been burst.
Yeah, well,
That was the moment I realized, oh, this isn't really cool. But I was already doing it, so I couldn't.
too late
quit.
to back out now.
Yeah.
So you just embraced it wholeheartedly.
I did.
And it was a safe school that year. All right, haiku time. So let's do
Very
it.
safe school.
All right, paper, rock, scissors.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Boom.
Aw, dang it. I should have known you were going to go rock.
Yeah, well.
All right. Well, are you going first or am I?
I'll defer.
Okay, good.
I'll go first in the second half.
Did you do more than one?
No, I'm just kidding. I was just making a
okay.
football joke right there.
Which reminds me, I need to look at the playoff schedule for this weekend.
Not right now, you don't.
No, but I need to at some point soon. All right, here's my haiku. Discovered by chance, allies, elves and men become, quelling Morgoth's plan.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. You don't have to pretend you like it. I actually don't really like it either.
Quelling. Interesting vocabulary word there.
Well, it needed to be 2 syllables.
Mm-hmm.
And it needed to mean, like, to put the kibosh on.
Yeah.
So that was the best I could do.
To put the kibosh is too many syllables.
It is. Yeah. It's much too many syllables.
Puts the kibosh.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's tolerable.
Okay, you're not a fan of it.
Not a fan.
Right.
Guys.
I know the feeling.
Huh?
I know the feeling.
Yeah, well.
All right, you ready for mine?
I hope yours is better.
All right, here goes. What darkness lies back beyond the arid linden? Death cometh. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That's very clever.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Yes.
You should have been like, come on, man.
Come on, man. Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's probably too many syllables.
We'll do Josh.
All right. So Josh is back in the swing.
Josh actually gave us 2.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll do both of his, just because he hasn't been with us in a couple of episodes.
That's true. We have time. He has a haiku. Yeah. He has time to make up for in haiku land.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. The first one. The gift of men to die, the grace of elves to live. Beör reveals truth.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Nice. Yeah.
That's very nice. What was that last one?
Beör reveals truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I dig it. Nicely done, Josh.
All right.
And for the second one?
The second one. Atani, Edain, elf friend, what have you? Morgoth hates it all the same.
Yeah, Morgoth hates everything.
Yeah, it's grump.
Total grump.
Yeah.
Scrooge to the max. Nice, Josh.
Okay. Good
Well
job.
done.
Well done. Well done. Yay. Mary Grace. Here's
Woo-hoo.
hers.
Mary Grace has been away even longer than Josh.
I know.
Welcome back, Mary Grace.
Yeah. So here we go. Mary Grace's. Come into the west, men, into Beleriand. Make something happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's right. Enough of this elves hanging out for hundreds of years and doing nothing.
I know, right? Just like
Time to
playing
make
music
something happen.
and
That's right.
eating food.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well done, Mary Grace.
Well done. Mary Grace also wrote a longer form poem, but this one is, I think, this one is a little more lighthearted than what she's given us in the past. It's funny. She sent me a comment yesterday. She must have listened to our last episode where we were wondering what happened to her, and so I think she sent me a comment on True Myths and said, basically said it was funny, but she had lost her copy of the Silmarillion and she thought you'd get a kick out of that.
Did she really? Well, does she know that I found
Yeah,
mine?
she knows you found it.
So we have an extra one now. Does she need one?
She might, I don't know.
If she needs one, maybe we can loan her our extra.
All right.
You know what's funny is I went to read the other day,
Uh-huh.
and I couldn't find my original beloved copy. So I used the new copy, right?
Mm.
And then wouldn't you believe, like yesterday, after I had finished reading, I sit down in the playroom, and what's staring me in the face but my old beloved copy? That is the second time that's happened. It's just like appeared out of nowhere.
I think one of the kids is playing a trick on you.
You know what? It would not surprise me. It's kind of wacky.
Or it could be that ghost that lives in this house.
Could be.
Yeah.
One that our cat's always screaming and yelling about. Well, we're glad you're back, Mary Grace.
Well, let me read this poem that she wrote.
Do it.
All right. It has been a long time since a poem I have wrote. Please excuse the bad grammar and read this little note. I do love the Silmarillion and try the hardest I can to comprehend its deep meaning and at least understand what's going on, who is who, and wait, where is that town? But I'm not the only one who finds this struggle going down. So I thank you once more for clearing some of that up, and I'll try to write another poem when the going gets tough.
That's good.
Nice.
That's really nice.
Well done. Well done,
Mary Grace. I like that a lot. Thanks, Mary Grace.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody. Good job.
Yeah, rock on. Super fans, bringing it.
Okay, so chapter 17 of the Coming of Men. So, I have a little issue, and that's that I forgot to bring my copy of the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien up here. So,
you want me to just sing?
You gotta keep people entertained while I go get my copy of letters.
I hope you run really, really fast.
Well, but you can't allow any silence on the air.
No silence. Okay. So, as John mentioned, hitherto, we are discussing chapter 17, which is the coming of men into Beleriand, or Beleriland? Yeah, Beleri. Oh no, yeah, it's just the coming of men into the West. And I'm curious about how our discussion is going to go, because I, for one, did not quite enjoy it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. But they did mention Beör and Luthien toward the end, so that got me excited.
Okay, what are we talking about?
I realized that we were one step closer. Oh, I was just talking about how I didn't really like this chapter.
Mm.
And it took me a while to figure out that Beleriand was actually not in the title of the chapter. It's just the coming of men into the West.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a while trying to figure out if it was Beleriand or Beleriand, and then I realized it wasn't even in the title.
Did you just say Beleriand?
No, I didn't.
Beleriand. I think that's what we gotta call it from now on. It's Beleriand.
Well, anyway, it's not even in the title of the chapters. I didn't even need to say it, but
yeah, it's
anyway.
Beleriand.
Beleriand. That sounds so sophisticated.
Yeah.
So I was just saying how I didn't really like the chapter until the end when they mentioned Beör and Luthien, and then I was happy because I realized, oh look, I'm one step closer to Beör and Luthien chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really the high point for me of the chapter. So if you want to take it from here, that would be great.
Okay.
So the letters, you found them?
I did. I found the letters. We'll get to that in just a minute. So, okay. Before we jump into the chapter itself, let's make sure we understand. Let's use our handy dandy charts at the back to kind of level set ourselves a little bit. All right.
Okay.
So there's 3 houses of men that enter into Beleriand. These are not all of the men in the world. These are just the men who happen to enter into Beleriand. They journey over.
Right.
Okay. Let's go. So let's go first of all to the map at the very back. Right.
Yep.
Okay. So over here, you see this line of mountains over here, the Arid Lewin or Arid Linden.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I referenced those in my haiku. So these are the Blue Mountains.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
These are the Blue Mountains. Okay.
Got it.
Arid is the word means mountains, right? So these are the Blue Mountains, and in the Third Age, in the Age of the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, these are like kind of where almost to the sea, right? Because Beleriand no longer exists in that time. But men journey as the elves originally did. They come from east of the Blue Mountains. Okay,
Right.
all right, and most of them did not come over the Blue Mountains because those are pretty treacherous mountains to travel over.
Right.
All right. So these three houses of men are significant in their courage and their draw into the West, right? They already have some kind of a heroic sort of heart within them, you know?
Okay. Yep.
All right. And the three houses are, first of all, if you look at chart number or family tree number 3, right? Roman numeral 3, the house of Beör.
Yeah, Beör
All right.
the Old.
Yeah, Beör the Old. And then you can look, and that's the first house, right, of men. Beör is the first man that really is has any significance, and you can see that Beren is descendant from him,
Yes.
right? Who we'll get to in a couple of chapters. As is, you look all the way down, very bottom, Elrond,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Elrond is descendant because Elrond is the half elven, right? He's
Oh,
Right.
yeah, okay.
So and a number of other significant figures are associated with Beör that you probably don't know about yet, but we'll get to eventually. Flip over to the next page, and this actually contains the two other houses. This chart number 4 contains the two other houses. All right, so that you have the house of Hador of Dor Loman, and then you have the people of Haleth or the Haladin of Brethil. Right. So these people are talked about. The house of Hador is descendant from Marach, right? And then you can see, the different people that descend from these two lines. They're joined eventually through Glorithel and Haldir,
Right. Yeah.
as well as Galdor and Hareth, right?
Yes.
So, anyway, just so you know, you have this reference back here if it ever gets terribly confusing with all these different names being introduced in one chapter. All right. Okay. So, jumping in, Finrod Felogund, who is, remember, he is the son of who? Do you remember?
It starts in F, right?
Yeah. Good guess.
Yeah. He's the son of Fëanor.
No, that's not a son of Fëanor.
Fingolfin?
The other one.
Finarfin.
Finarfin, right?
That's
He's the son of Finarfin, and he is the lord of Nargothrond, right? One of the great cities, one of the great cities that was constructed under the inspiration of Ulmo, right?
Right.
So he goes hunting with Maglor and Medros, who are sons of Fëanor, and he decides he wants to continue along towards the Blue Mountains, towards the arid London. And then he starts hearing voices, and he thinks, these voices don't sound very familiar. Who are they? And he stumbles upon men, the first men.
I mean, the men.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Who are led by Beör the Old, the chieftain among men.
Right.
Okay. And so,
can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Did you find it all creepy that he just stood there and watched them as they slept and played music and just kind of?
Well, yeah, but not. I mean, not in it
I know
doesn't.
he didn't have any evil designs, but
Exactly. I mean, it was more of a
wonderment.
Yes, exactly. Who is this? There's more of a. It is creepy, but it's not creepy in a horrible perverse way or something like that,
it's
right?
interesting that when the men woke up, they really weren't disturbed by his presence.
Well,
really.
and why is that?
Because he was playing pretty music.
Yeah, he was playing an enchanting song for them. The men awoke and listened to Felagund as he harped and sang, and each thought that he was in some fair dream until he saw that his fellows were awake also beside him. But they did not speak or stir while Felagund still played, because of the beauty of the music and the wonder of the song. Wisdom was in the words of the Elven King, and their hearts grew wiser and hearkened to him. For the things of which he sang, of the making of Arda and the bliss of Aman beyond the shadows of the sea, came as clear visions before their eyes, and his elvish speech was interpreted in each mind according to its measure. So, the music is beautiful, and they hear things in them that they, that are enchanting to them, right? And, of great stories of old, right? And so they things start off really well between the elves and men, right? There's this, bridge of trust, and the first men that come are, somewhat enchanted by Felagund. And it actually says that the language of Beör and his folk resembled the elven tongue in many words and devices.
Right. You had to learn the language pretty quickly, right?
Yeah. And that's partly because of the elves, the dark elves that are back over in the eastern lands, right? Because all the languages of the elves are related to one another, and so the men had learned a lot of the speech of the dark elves, and so they were able. It wasn't too far fetched to pick up Quindi, right, and eventually the Sindarin tongue as well. They quickly kind of hit it off. Beör, Felagund, they almost seem like kind of kindred spirits. And then we learn a little bit of the mysteriousness of the origin of men, right? Over there on page 141. And Beör says, when Felagund questioned Beör concerning the arising of men and their journeys, Beör would say little, and indeed he knew little, for the fathers of his people had told few tales of their past, and a silence had followed upon their memory. So it's not like men had just all of a sudden, like, Beör is like the first man or something like that, right?
Right.
Men have apparently been around for some time. It's just they finally have made it over here, right?
Right.
Okay. So there's lots of men in the world by this time, right? And the origin, of their origin story is unknown even to them at this point, right? And I find it really intriguing what Beör says. He says, "A darkness lies behind us, and we have turned our backs upon it, and we do not desire to return hither, even to return thither, even in thought. Westwards our hearts have been turned, and we believe that there we shall find light. But it was said afterwards among the Eldar that when men awoke in Hildorian at the rising of the sun, the spies of Morgoth were watchful, and tidings were soon brought to him. And this seemed to him so great a matter that secretly under shadow he himself departed from Angband, and went forth into Middle-earth, leaving to Sauron the command of the war. Of his dealings with men the Eldar knew nothing at that time, and learnt but little afterwards, but that a darkness lay upon the hearts of men, as the shadow of the kinslaying and the doom of Mondos lay upon the Noldor. They perceived clearly even in the people of the Elfriends whom they first knew." So I marked this, and this is why I brought the letters up, because I think it's really interesting what Tolkien has to say, his own kind of commentary on what he was doing here. So on page 147 of the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, he talks about he talks a bit about the origin of men and the darkness that lies behind them. And he said, In the cosmogony there is a fall of angels, we should say, though quite different in form, of course, to that of Christian myth. These tales are new. They are not directly derived from other myths and legends, but they must inevitably contain a large measure of ancient, widespread motives or elements. After all, I believe that legends and myths are largely made of truth, and indeed present aspects of it that can only be received in this mode. And long ago certain truths and modes of this kind were discovered and must always reappear. There cannot be any story without a fall. All stories are ultimately about the fall, at least not for human minds as we know them and have them. So, proceeding, the elves have a fall before their history can become storial. The first fall of man, for reasons explained, nowhere appears. Men do not come on the stage until all that is long past, and there is only a rumor that for a while they fell under the domination of the enemy and that some repented. I think Tolkien here seems to be alluding to some kind of, primeval fall associated with men, right?
And Morgoth was certainly involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, I think it's interesting how he talks about Morgoth, having some involvement with that fall, even though it's not clear, but Morgoth actually leaving under disguise Balerions because he hears about men and decides to go, corrupt them in some way, right? And, you got to remember Morgoth hated the children of Iluvatar, right? Even from when he first heard of them in the song, and the music of the Ainur. Yep. So there's some darkness that lies behind when it comes to men, and Tolkien doesn't elaborate what that is. But I find it interesting because I know that Tolkien, the more and more I read of Tolkien, the more I realize that he was in a way trying to bridge the myth of his own, Christian faith with and the origin stories thereof with the myths of Middle Earth, right? The stories of Middle Earth, right? Yeah. Even down to the to the detail of all of the overlap in dates, in Lord of the Rings. Like when you get to the destruction of the ring, it happens on the same day, only thousands of years earlier, but on the same calendar day as the Annunciation, right? Yep. So, just interesting little notes here, and it's almost like, again, the Tolkien is creating a mythology for our own reality, but one that's just broader, right? That has more involvement, yes. Or looks at it from a different angle, I guess you could say. Yeah. Looks at everything from a different angle. Okay. All right.
Cool beans.
Okay, moving on. So things seem to be going peachy with the elves and with men. And the first trouble we hear of really has to do with the Green-Elves of Osiriand. Okay? It says, the Green-Elves of Osiriand were troubled by the coming of men, and when they heard that a lord of the Eldar from over the sea was among them, they sent messengers to Felagund. Right? Lord, they said, if you have power over these newcomers, bid them return by the ways that they came, or else to go forward. For we desire no strangers in this land to break the peace in which we live. And these folk are hewers of trees and hunters of beasts. Therefore we are their unfriends, and if they will not depart, we shall afflict them in all ways that we can. All right?
I love that word, unfriends.
I know, unfriends.
I'm probably going to use that sometime.
Yeah, you are my unfriend.
You're my unfriend.
Well, it's like, what you do to people on Facebook, right? You unfriend them.
You unfriend them
on Facebook.
Well,
right?
No, you don't anymore. You hide their feed.
Oh, you hide their feed?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that shows you how often I use Facebook. So
well, I haven't been on in weeks, but that's just the last development that I noticed. But yeah, I was like, man, that's awesome. Like, next time somebody makes me mad, I'm gonna tell them they're my unfriend.
Mm-hmm. And that they're not invited to the Pancake Social on Saturday.
Social on Friday, exactly.
You are disinvited from the Pancake Social on Saturday.
On Saturday,
that's
yes.
Right.
See how they react. Kind of funny.
Yeah. So the Green Elves not so fond of men, and so there's while things seem to start off well with some of the Noldor men, the other elves look on men with a lot of suspicion. Interestingly enough, though, Beör grows in such admiration for Felagund that he asks to come with him back to Nargothrond, right? And he, in a way, becomes a vassal of
like a servant,
exactly,
right-hand man,
like a noble servant of Felagund. He's not like a slave or anything like that, but
like he's an assistant to the regional manager kind of thing.
Yeah, well, assistant regional manager would be the better.
Oh, right.
Assistant to the regional manager.
Yes.
Yeah.
Assistant, right? Yes, that's right. Yeah, he must have really loved Felagund if he's willing to leave his people. I mean, he'd been through a lot with those people, right? I mean, and he preferred to. He was willing to leave them to go with Beör. So. Mm-hmm. And then his son took over, right?
Yes. Oh, do you want to lead? Because
I'm just trying to keep this moving. That's all.
Be my guest.
I was just gonna say that Beör, his elder son.
I wasn't even gonna mention that, so you're actually slowing things down.
Emma, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually Baran. Baran.
Yeah, I thought might not be right. I might be saying that wrong because I know it sounds too much like Baron of Baron and Luthien. So.
All right.
Anyway,
well, jumping ahead a little bit.
So Beör leaves.
So Beör. There's Beör, and then we hear of the Haladin. They turn north and dwell in Thargalion in the country of Caranthir, son of Fëanor.
They're a different house?
They are a different house.
Okay.
And Marach comes after that, leading his people over the mountains.
Yep.
All right. And then we have Felagund himself often returned to visit men, and many other elves out of the Westlands, both Noldor and Sindar, journeyed to Estalad, being eager to see the Edain, whose coming had long been foretold. Now Atani, the second people, was the name given to men in Valinor in the lore that told of their coming, but in the speech of Beleriand, that name became Edain, and it was there used only of the three kindreds of the Elf-friends. So, sometimes you'll hear people refer to men as Edain, but Edain is actually a specific title that is reserved for the three tribes, the three houses of men that entered Beleriand, because they're the Elf-friends, right? Okay. So they have a special name, okay? And that name, that title actually continues all the way down into the Lord of the Rings. I think Aragorn is referred to as Edain on a few occasions, right? Because he's
Atani is another name for men as well.
But Atani is the whole of men, right?
I see. So Edain is like a special...
Edain. Yeah.
Edain is like a special subgroup of Atani.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, you can know it's Edain because of the handy-dandy pronunciation guide at the end, right? Where it says, AI has the sound of English I. Thus, the second syllable of Edain is like English dine, not Dane. There you go.
My bad.
Yeah. That's why you got me here.
Thank you for setting me straight.
Exactly. That's what I do. All right. Fingolfin, as king of all the Noldor, sent messengers of welcome to them. And then many young and eager men of the Edain went away and took service with the kings and lords of the Eldar. Among them was Malak, son of Marach, and he dwelt in Hithlum for 14 years, and he learned the Elven tongue and was given the name of Aradan. So you have this kind of intermingling of elves and men among when the elves are friendly to them, right? And it's actually kind of a cool thing, right? That you have these men living among the elves and learning from them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not only the Green Elves take issue with the Edain, but King Thingol as well, right?
Yeah.
Grouchy old Thingol.
I know, he is such a grouch, and they're not even living within the girdle of Melian, right?
Right.
But he still thinks he has right to.
Well, and it says because he was troubled by dreams concerning the coming of men, ere ever the first tidings of them were heard.
Sounds like somebody's putting too much stock in their dreams.
Well,
Just saying.
He's just keeping the dream alive.
Yep, true.
So he bans them from coming into Dorioth, and we'll see this, again play out a little, and with a little more significance later on. But yeah, Thingol looks down at men. Melian, of course, in the way that she always does, sees in this something foreboding, and she says to Galadriel, "Now the world runs on swiftly to great tidings, and one of men, even of Beör's house, shall indeed come, and the girdle of Melian shall not restrain him. For doom greater than my power shall send him, and the songs that shall spring from that coming shall endure when all Middle-earth is changed."
Who is that going to be?
That is someone you'll see. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay. So did we meet him in this chapter?
No.
No.
We don't.
Okay.
Okay. So, as usual, even though Thingol is grouchy about something, Melian is kind of there, is a better half, and has some foreboding things to say about the seeds he's sowing, and what's going to happen as a result.
Yep.
Okay. So, while it seems like things overall, even though there's some elves that aren't too fond of men, overall elves seem to be taking okay to men. But now we have problems arising from within the houses of men. We have Bereg's rebellion, Bereg of the house of Beör, and Amlak, one of the grandsons of Marach. And they say, "We took long roads, desiring to escape the perils of Middle-earth and the dark things that dwell there. For we heard that there was light in the west. But now we learn that the light is beyond the sea. Thither we cannot come, where the gods dwell in bliss. Save one, for the Lord of the Dark is here before us, and the Eldar, wise but fell, who make endless war upon him. In the north he dwells, they say, and there is the pain and death from which we fled. We will not go that way." So there starts to be some suspicion cast because they're like, we came all this way and we don't see any of the great beings that we expected to see, except for this Dark Lord, apparently, that you all are fighting against.
Right.
And
basically saying false advertising.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's
You've got a point.
Well, and there's some echoes of the same things that were happening among the Eldar themselves early on, right? And kind of starting to view the Valar with suspicion, right?
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
They wanted to kind of hoard all of the world for themselves, all right?
Yeah.
And so you have a similar things happening here. And it actually says before that these dissensions that awoke among the Edain, the shadow of Morgoth could be discerned in them. So the Eldar understand what's going on here, and they say, you know what? You guys need to be careful because we hear in here the whisperings of Morgoth's servants, right, among you that you may not even realize. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, Bereg answers and he says, "Let the Eldar look to it. Our lives are short enough." In terms of the battle against Morgoth. And then another arises and said, "All this is but elvish lore, tales to beguile newcomers that are unwary. The sea has no shore." That's a great line right there. Even though it's an untrue line, they're basically saying the sea has no shore. I don't believe you, right? That's Amlach is the skeptic, right? He is the great skeptic the great early skeptic among men. I don't believe any of this about the light of the west or the lords beyond the sea, right? You have followed a fool fire of the elves to the end of the world. Which of you has seen the least of the gods? Who has beheld the dark king in the north? Those who seek the dominion of Middle-earth are the Eldar. Greedy for wealth, they have delved in the earth for its secrets and have stirred to wrath the things that dwell beneath it, as they have ever done and ever shall. Let the orcs have the realm that is theirs, and we will have ours. There is room in the world if the Eldar will let us be. So you have this dissent going on, and though Bereg, I believe it's Bereg. No, I'm sorry. Amlach repents eventually, and he says, "I have now a quarrel of my own with this master of lies, which will last to my life's end." All right, but even so, there's we have these seeds sown, right? We have these seeds of dissension, and what started off going well between men and elves, there's all these whisperings, starting up between, that threaten the relationship, between them. All right. Any thoughts? Any thoughts to this point? Okay, you're being awful quiet. I'm just saying. Kind of. Maybe I should go and get another book from downstairs and let you talk for a little while.
No, I'm really not trying to be rude. I just, this chapter didn't do much for me. So, and I didn't get a lot of it, to be quite honest. I got confused.
Well,
with all the different. No, yeah, that's why I'm just listening to you explain it to me.
Okay,
that's what I
Fair
need.
Enough. Well, there's not a lot that happens in this chapter, so we'll move along pretty quickly. There's not, there's you can read the chapter. There's not a ton more, I think, to say about this. On kind of this survey through the chapter that we're doing. Mm-hmm. Of course, we haven't spoken much yet about Haleth and the people of Haldar.
Right.
The people of Haldad.
They're the third house.
They're the third house. And they're what I call the Stoic house, right? They don't say much. And remember, Haldad and Haldar, I believe, are killed.
Then the girl takes over.
And Haleth, the daughter, takes over. And she's a great leader, right? She is a great leader among the people, her people. The different people, the different elves try to kind of be nice to them and everything, but the Haleth just seem like they kind of want to, the people of Haleth just seem like they kind of want to do their own thing.
She did. They definitely seemed to just kind of go where they wanted, when they wanted, and
I like the little comeuppance she gives to Thingol. She says, where they go and they find this land, Brethil, the forest of Brethil, to settle in, and it says, "Now Brethil was claimed as part of his realm by King Thingol, though it was not within the girdle of Melian. and he would have denied it to Haleth. But Felagund, who had the friendship of Thingol, hearing of all that had befallen the people of Haleth, obtained this grace for her, that she should dwell free in Brethil, upon the condition only that her people should guard the crossings of Teigland against all enemies of the Eldar, and allow no orcs to enter their woods. To this Haleth answered, Where are Haldad my father and Haldar my brother? If the king of Doriath fears a friendship between Haleth and those who have devoured her kin, then the thoughts of the Eldar are strange to men.
Booyah!
Right? Bam!
Seriously.
Right?
Yeah, no,
that's pretty good. You got
to,
in addition to her just prowess apparently as a warrior and her ability to lead people under really dire conditions.
Yeah, I pictured her as like a she-woman, like she, like a, just like, what's her face? Like, is it she? Like that female version of Superman.
Of Superman? You mean like Wonder Woman?
Like kind of like a Wonder Woman kind of thing. Like, but not like fantastic, but not like with the cape and everything. But she just seems like Xena, warrior princess.
Xena, warrior princess.
Yes,
yeah,
that's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I pictured her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. She's like, idiot. Like, you think, these people killed my kin, like my brother and my twin brother and my dad.
Yeah, it was kind of like just the fact that you're saying that to us is kind of insulting.
Exactly. It's like, really? You think that we would just let them go? Dweeb. Yeah.
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 I like that too.
Right, and it's also, it's also just kind of funny considering how Thingol is such an isolationist and he doesn't want to go to the aid of anybody else, right? And and so he's kind of sitting there warm and cozy in his little kingdom, surrounded by the girdle of Melian, and then there's all these people out there suffering, and he's kind of like, you just have to make sure you attack orcs when you have a chance.
Well, he obviously has to make it. He needs to make them feel like he's doing them a favor by letting them stay there.
Right.
Like, even though he has no right to claim that land, right? I mean, he still needs to feel like he's, he needs to have them. He needs to make them feel like they're in his debt.
That's right. Okay. So that's the story in very, very briefly of Haleth and the Haladin. And then we got this little episode. I think the next big thing is, and really maybe the last major thing in the chapter is Beör's death, right? So the years of Edain were lengthened according to the reckoning of men after their coming to Beleriand. So, for whatever reason, we don't know exactly why, but these men who come into the land of Beleriand receive longer life, right? Now maybe it's just because of the remaining aura of Valinor and the fact that these are the kind of the great elves that spent time in the Blessed Realm and all of that kind of thing. So maybe that aura just kind of rubs off on them some.
Yeah. Maybe it's in the water.
But they live a little longer, but nevertheless they shall die, right? They still die because they're men. And death is like Josh was saying in his poem, is a grace to men. It's a Luvatar's grace to men, right? But it's funny, as we've talked about before, that the Eldar come to envy men because of their natural death, whereas men eventually come to envy the Eldar because of their immortality, right? The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. So Beör the Old died when he had lived 93 years, for 44 of which he had served King Felagund. And when he lay dead of no wound or grief, but stricken by age, the Eldar saw for the first time the swift waning of the life of men, and the death of weariness which they knew not in themselves. And they grieved greatly for the loss of their friends. But Beör at the last had relinquished his life willingly and passed in peace. And the Eldar wondered much of the strange fate of men, for in all their lore there was no account of it, and its end was hidden from them. That makes me think of, when you, on a certain, praying a certain decade of the rosary, you usually ask for the grace of a happy death, right? That, Beör's, the description of Beör's death makes me think of that, right? The grace of a happy death, right? Relinquished his life willingly and passed in peace, right?
Yes.
And it's also just interesting to consider how mysterious it is and just strange it is for the Eldar. Right,
yeah,
right.
They've never seen this. They can be killed in battle, right? So they would have seen death, like, on the battlefield.
Yes.
Right, but not the willing, peaceful...
Right.
death of weirdness, as they call it.
Exactly.
This has been their first experience with that.
Right. Nonetheless, the Edain of old learned swiftly of the Eldar all such art and knowledge as they could receive, and their sons increased in wisdom and skill, until they far surpassed all others of mankind who dwelt still east of the mountains and had not seen the Eldar, nor looked upon the faces that had beheld the light of Valinor. Here endeth the chapter.
I didn't mean to make you hurry up and speed do it just because I was being quiet.
No, I mean, I didn't have a ton more to say. There isn't a ton that happens in this chapter, right? It's really... It's
more stage setting, really.
Again, yeah, and things really pick up in the next chapter. It's of the ruin of Beleriand and the fall of Thingolfin. That's big stuff just in the title, you can tell there.
Yeah.
And then chapter 19, one chapter later, is of Beren and Luthien. Right?
Yep.
So we're getting close to the really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
That comes toward the end of the Silmarillion.
Yeah.
I don't really know that there's a boring chapter from here on out, honestly.
What? We've paid our dues?
Yeah, I'm looking at the table of contents right now, and they're all pretty action-packed, honestly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite passage tonight in this chapter?
Not really. I don't think. I think we talked about all of them, even if I did. I really liked what Haleth replied to Thingol.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty great. And also the way that Felagin, they described Felagin, just that whole meeting.
Mm-hmm.
What was going through their minds at that first meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I think you already read that. So, how about you?
I think mine was just the talk, the mysterious origin of men, a little bit that we read. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to look. I know there's another reference I'm looking for too.
About the same thing?
I think so. Where is it? 54. Maybe not. Searching through the letters right now. Sorry, folks. Maybe we just need to call this one to an end. Hold on. Here we go. Sorry. Quiet, too quiet. All right, well, maybe I'll have it for next time. Maybe I'll do it as a lookup for next time. There's something interesting I know I've read before in the letters, and I just can't seem to track it down. Okay, we'll just call it in there. All right, so thanks for tuning in, everybody. Next time, chapter 18, which is of the ruin of Beleriand and the fall of Thingolfin.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And we should be back on a weekly schedule, which means hopefully that episode will be posted within less than a week of this one.
Wow.
And
living large.
And then after that one, so this is episode 48. So after the next one, it'll be episode 50.
Whoa, we need something super cool and awesome and celebratory.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be super cool, but we'll do something a little different for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keeping it real.
We'll do something super cool when we get to episode 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just a little something to make it special would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll write another Tolkien haiku theme.
Woohoo! I'm sure that's what everybody was hoping for.
I was joking when I said that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. All right.
I like the one we have.
I do too.
I
won't do that.
With that. No.
I won't do that.
I'm sure you'll think of something awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always do.
Well, it's good to be back.
It is good to be back. All right. So long, Greta.
See you, John.
See you later. See you on the flip side. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye, y'all.
Please remember to check out truemyths.org for show notes and plenty of other Tolkien goodness. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, would you please leave the Tolkien Road a rating and feedback on iTunes? It's a great way to support the show and takes less than a minute. With the Christmas season over, we're resuming our regular weekly posting schedule. On the next episode, we'll continue our discussion of the Silmarillion with Chapter 18 of the Ruin of Beleriand and the Fall of Fingolfin. The tenuous peace of Beleriand is about to come to an end. We hope you'll tune in, and until next time, the road goes ever on.
Hey, Tolkien Roadsters! What's shakin'? Greta Carswell here, just getting my groove on to the Tolkien Haiku theme music. Man, that's an awesome song. You know what else is awesome? Feedback on the Tolkien Road on iTunes. Oh yeah, you heard me right. iTunes feedback is one of the best ways you can tell the world about your undying love for this podcast. Because it lets those knuckleheads at Apple know that the Tolkien Road is where it's at. I mean, come on. Why didn't they know that already? Am I right? So next time you're waiting in line to pick up some delicious tacos, surfing the World Wide Web, brushing up on a Tom Bombadil factoid, or keeping it real in whatever way you keep it real, pop on over to iTunes and let the human race know what you think about the Tolkien Road. We're all dying to know, for reals. Party on, y'all!